look here.
All right, we'll take an eye at it, see what Phillip is able to offer. Thank you, lafon. We'll catch you after the map. But as we again, Team CC in the green, it'll be Flag Gaming in the white as we start things off on our inner circle of drum time, as it will be, again, JWJ, formerly known as Jason, like you mentioned, Panda, looking to start things off in the far. He's scouting his opponents. He's actually getting a lot of help, as you saw Gaga was also diving into that front line and is able to make himself a big impact into not only one, but also into the far up, or pardon me, the Mercy in Philly. So it will be Team CC with the numbers first, but they still have to take care of a couple of bodies before they can actually open up the hill in their favor.
And answering right back, Melons does find Gaga after the Resurrection's already off cooldown to bring back Sia. And, well, this is the hardest part, right? If you're Team CC, the Wrecking Ball solo tank versus Melons on the Orisa, you get a little bit more point presence, but you don't exactly gain a mobility as well. And well, Team CC, they have a lot of mobility on their team. You get a little bit of shades of a couple metas ago as well with the Pharah and the Tracer, especially a high caliber Tracer player like Bunny. You see very close to the pulse bomb already. You get the direct rocket coming from JWJ, and then the cleanup soon to follow after a couple blinks from Bunny. And I expect to see a lot of that as well after space and backline pressure is found from Gaga. The idea of their composition is to find as many resources away from Flag Gaming, so that way it becomes easier. Really well
played. Find the halt right into the sleep, and just like that, Flag Gaming have an advantage, at least in the spy game. And Shochang trying to re-emphasize that as he's trying to track down the Ana, but it's JWJ and Bunny who are combining for so many kills. DPS and support alike. Melons trying to do what they can, but they get stuck with the pulse bomb from Bunny, who is, again, showing up for one of the first times we've seen them here in Chinese Contenders since essentially being moved from the Overwatch League, and is finding some success. And again, maybe a chip on the shoulder here for Bunny, trying to reestablish themselves as being a major threat.
Yeah, and we talked about Pilly, former flex support, now playing the main support. More Covenant is that Mercy. Raymond coming in for Flag Gaming now on this Ana. Gets a good couple pop-off moments that never really finds the most consistent value on the kit Ana. Team CC, on the other hand, it's a lot of backline pressure, man, and winning fights without ultimates. The pulse bomb was used, but they're about to have 5 more in this upcoming fight.
Flag Gaming desperately need to find a way to just start a fight in their favor. They've been playing off the back foot what feels like the entirety of this set so far. Again, it's the first environment here in Busan. Nice shots from JWJ. Minefield gets placed right on top of the support line. That'll do nicely to find Raymond, but also Mask. And just like that, 6v4. Team CC with the advantage of the Flag Gaming have to try to find a way to battle back, and the Resurrection will come through. The Supercharger gets taken care of, though. So now all of a sudden, with the kill coming into Farway, it's a 5v5, and Flag Gaming have a barrage they can potentially use if they need to. Try to get onto the top of the point, and one's able to find Gaga a huge opening pick, and that'll be the flip coming right as it hits 99% for Team CC. Panda, did we lose your microphone, sir?
Yeah, Team CC, I was just I had to clean up my jaw from the floor after it slammed against, after watching so many ultimates being used from Team CC to no avail. And well, Flag Gaming, they're going to have a few ultimates to win a couple more fights, but it's in the last fight territory. Team CC can walk back in here with a barrage. The pulse bomb can weaken up a few of the front lines as well. Get that armor pack out from Shochang early on, and you can find yourself a very easy fight. But Mask sizing up this sizing up this EMP. You get the pharmacy on the ground, can pay dividends, but Raymond just gonna take the biotic rifle and scope in, use the hit scan capabilities.
Again, numbers here for Flag Gaming. Hack trying to come through to Gaga, not quite fully realized though off the right click. Now trying to change the focus over to Sia, but Mask has to back away. And again, now 50% on the board for Flag Gaming, and they still have numbers here to keep accumulating that capture percentage, and it's going rather well for them, to be honest. No real pressure coming in from Team CC, which is, I think, the first time I can actually honestly say that, as now Juan is the one winning from the air as Bunny gets tracked down. So now it's 65, and again, Team CC can't really fully commit to even contesting the point at this time.
Damage boosted rocket shot onto the Tracer. It's very unfortunate. Bunny has had enough. He's going to try to deal with the Pharah directly. Now going over to the Widowmaker, and well, Flag Gaming again, after going over to the Brigitte, you can almost expect that was probably inevitable that Bunny was going to go for the swap. Again, ultimates will be online. They're about to have a 6-pack of ultimates towards the middle of this fight, and they can reach 99 to 99 in this fight as well.
And again, with Mask with the EMP, when do you pop this? It'll go airborne, and he is able to take down the pharmacy combination, but it's Bunny who is able to find a crucial headshot and elimination on the Mask. So all of a sudden, a 6v5. JWJ looking for an opportunity to dive on in, looking for the airborne rocket. We'll be able to match it on the one, and now it's just down to hitting the barrage right into the support line. That'll be good for 2, and it was 99 to 99 like you mentioned, but Team CC cleaning up the early parts of the fight, mostly off of Bunny being able to take that headshot, and also the hack able to find the pharmacy combination, and Team CC will start off with a 1-0 so far here on Busan.
Praise be lafon, you get to see some high caliber Tracer play. That was the first death that Bunny had in Chinese Contenders. And only one. Only one. Really, really nice. Swapped over to the Widowmaker, found value. Killed Mask right off the rip from using the EMP. And Fly Gaming, they're going to go ahead and take changes. They'd like to keep the Sombra as well, expecting that Team CC is going to be sticking on a composition that they've been playing a lot through Control, which is around the Wrecking Ball and a lot of DPS as well. CO is going to go for the speed boost right out of spawn. Bunny back over to the Tracer. I mean, until you see the Brigitte on the other side, why not just play such a high-impacting hero, especially when you're that good on it? I mean, Bunny's been playing this hero since launch, and you might as well just keep trying to find value in it, especially against a low mobile tank of Melons on this Orisa. It's a lot of free pulse bomb charge that you can get.
Gaga just waiting for an opportunity, but how about that? Direct rockets able to connect as JWJ has free line of sight from the sky here. Juan not quite there. Resurrection coming in, but that's not necessarily what you'd call worth it as Pilly falls. Juan as well. Now JWJ is free to just float above the Brigitte and spam rockets into her face. And that'll be enough for Team CC. Again, very clean, but a relatively easy opening win here in this first team fight.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why we were talking about Pilly over onto this Mercy. It looks a little shaky. Resurrection was quite literally out in the open. I mean, you saw Gaga hanging out right above. And then, well, far rockets coming through from JWJ. Bunny this time, he sees Mask go over to the Brigitte, and he's just like, you know what? Not playing this game, Chief. I'm going to go to the Widowmaker. I'm going to control some high ground. I'm going to get Juan out of the sky as well, says Sia. And it's only going to make some more shots coming through because there's not that much high ground contestation that you can get out of Flag Gaming's composition unless Cho-Chang commits a translocator up there as well. You see the grapple hook coming through. They're really trying to commit to getting him out of there.
Yep. And you can find that barrage on Overstock.com because he's finding anything but value with it. And that's going to be enough for Flag Gaming to be turned aside once again. And Team CC already up to 40% of the capture percentage, essentially just to the back end of what was a pretty free barrage from JWJ.
Now Mask gonna go ahead and have a multi-personality disorder in spawn. Goes over to the Widowmaker and then over to the Tracer. Gonna be looking for more backline follow-up as well. EMP comes out from Cho-Chang early.
And that might be enough, but Melons is also hacked and very low, not quite able to roll away, so it's gonna be a 2-for-1 trade. Juan trying to get involved, but Gaga says go time grappling right on through. Nice little highlight play there from Gaga, making his way back over towards the point. Pilly is essentially in Battle Mercy form. That's an easy cleanup. Now up to 70% for Team CC as they battle back against the EMP of Flag Gaming.
Yeah, even like the raw hack coming out from Cho-Chang has been a little bit lackluster. The fight previous to that one as well, even though Bunny already used the grapple hook, still committed to hacking the Widowmaker. I mean, what do you expect? Not to get the Widow Mine out at that point as well. It's just Flag Gaming look a little lost as to where their focus fire needs to be. Even when the ultimates come through, it's still very lackluster. Melons gets hacked and gets absolutely destroyed as well. And 93% and counting up here is Team CC.
Desperate times calling for desperate measures. Really not much in the bank, although they will allow the point to flip in favor of Flag Gaming due Team CC, but they still might potentially have the numbers to come through and they flip it right back. So again, not much punish coming in for Flag Gaming, but they don't have anything to use is the biggest problem. The boost gets earned, it gets sent out, but again, the numbers are not here for you. And well, there it goes. Gaga, he's been really looking cleaner and cleaner week by week, playing on this Wrecking Ball, and he's been finding a lot of value so far. Getting into the backline, Cho-Chang does what he can, but there's not really much to be gained here when you're going into a 1v4 as a Sombra. You see all the health pools are so low. Desperate swaps coming through, and overtime will fade away. Team CC draw first blood in the map count, looking at a 1-0 total after the 2-0 on Busan.
Total 7% gain there on downtown as well. And well, when it comes down to DPS eccentric compositions, you let JWJ play the projectile, you let Bunny exist on Tracer or Widowmaker, and you're going to find a lot of value. It almost seems that having the Sombra there is just a consolation prize at that point that you saw for Flag Gaming. They wanted to pull out their own Wrecking Ball, but that's right into the hands of what CC wanted.
Well, let's bring lafon back into this one and see what he's been able to take away from both of our squads so far. Obviously, a nice little look here at Bunny, but also you mentioned Pilly. Kind of frame up the battle that's happening between the support lines and the DPS combos for both these squads.
Yeah, I don't know why Pilly's on Mercy. I genuinely don't. And we've talked about this before. This is not the first time we've brought it up, but he's a flex support. He's made his name as a flex support. We gave him best rookie of the season last season as a flex support. Right. Why is he on Mercy? I don't understand. It is a mind-boggling decision. He looks so uncomfortable. There's none of the tech there. Like he doesn't even super jump on Mercy, which is something that's kind of integral to the character, knowing how to do that if you're gonna play Mercy at a high level. So Philly, not to rag on the guy because we said how good he was at Zen and Ana, but Mercy just isn't there for him. On Bunny's side, though, you know, to put it nicely, Bunny's kind of smurfing in Contenders. His performance is absolutely outrageous. At one point in time, they had 3 people chasing Bunny down, pulled all of them on a on a merry chase, and then stayed alive. So across the entirety of Busan, had 1 death, which is pretty terrific numbers for a Widow Tracer play. And I think one of the things too is, you know, we talk a lot about Widows popping off because it's super flashy, it's super highlight worthy. But something that's really not talked about as much as taking pressure away from the rest of the team. If you've got 3 people on you and you can stay alive and you're not taking resources away from the team, that's just so much more space for 5 other members of your team to pop off and get value.
Take a look at some of these highlights as well. You're going to be able to get to see through this package what exactly we were talking about. It was a great sleep dart there from Raymond. Was the only moment that we got to see out of the support line that was more than decent from Flag Gaming. But again, this is just what we're talking about, right? You have so many different angles that you have to be concerned with when you're facing the team of Team CC. And like even LaFon was saying, you say a merry chase, man. I had a whole clown posse after that Widowmaker, and still didn't even go down as well. And even committing the hack as well from Shou Chang onto the Widowmaker at the time. Bunny again
After
already
he
used
grappled,
his
by the
grapple.
way.
Yeah, after
Yeah,
he grappled. And again, I'm gonna say the same thing that I said on broadcast. Is like, what do you expect for him not to shoot the Widow Mine at you at that point too? It just seems that Flag Gaming are a little bit lost when they're stuck out in these triple DPS, these chaos moments as well. They're really just getting lost inside the chaos.
And I think the solo tank Orisa is a questionable choice, especially against the composition. Especially against the composition that Team CC was running, right? You know, we've seen solo Orisa before, but it's usually when she has control of the high ground or she can control the rotations that you make, a la King's Row, first point. But on an open point like Busan, it is a questionable choice, one that did not work out. And, you know, for Flag, we need something else. Otherwise, this is going to be a, you know, if the remainder of the maps go the way map number 1 did, this could be a very quick 4-0.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll send things to a break, and maybe while we're away, maybe Flag Gaming can readjust their bearings or just find an Atlas to become a little bit less lost. But we'll see what happens. This map 2 will be right up next when we come back for the break. Welcome back to Chinese Contenders. IHOLDSHIFT with Panda. We've got ourselves a very pivotal matchup on the docket here to finish off the day, as Team CC are currently up 1-0 after the control on Flag Gaming. But again, both teams sitting at 2-1 currently in Group A. And this is essentially a separation match that'll give them a little bit of momentum heading in towards potentially playoffs. But before we can get too far ahead of ourselves, coming up next is map number 2, which will be the Assault, and we'll be playing it on Volskaya Industries. Again, Assault, I feel like in this meta currently is really kind of the pivotal kind of, I kind of like put a looking glass down to the screen to say, which is the better team actually, because Assault has really kind of shown a lot of vulnerabilities and mistakes for a number of teams that are kind of trying to refine their identity in this current meta.
Absolutely, yeah. And the one thing you also have to consider going into this is that there are a couple swaps. Fearless is in for Gaga for Team CC. Yaoshi is in for Mask on Flag Gaming. So putting their flex tank in for Flag Gaming. And speaking of Volskaya Industries, comparatively to what we had in our second game on Paris, well, you know, 3-3, because 2-2-2 Rollock doesn't come our way until playoffs. Yeah. It's still a pretty strong map for 3-3, 3-2-1. You can really hard commit along with a Brigitte on your team as well. And well, when you have Bunny that's been basically existing only on Tracer so far throughout the first map, and then slightly on the Widowmaker, you almost kind of need that play as well. You see right there at the top left-hand side of your screen, it's going to be a spam composition of sort with 3 supports. Flag Gaming setting up their defense. Shou Chang on a Hanzo, looking for those long-range shots. Bunny on the Widowmaker. We talked about a sniper rifle versus a bow and arrow in the previous match. Well, you know, on paper, you would think the sniper rifle would win every time, and well, it's been pretty consistent so far in Chinese Contenders.
Well, it will be a Winston 3-3 composition being swapped to for Team CC. The same spam comp, obviously, will be what is going to try to receive that for Flag Gaming. And you talk about, again, when you put these, and again, the kind of quasi-goats metas back into the play against these more DPS-centric comps, again, it just goes to show that if you're looking at it from the 3-3 side of things, you really need to play together. And again, that coordination can sometimes be a little bit easier said than done.
The side swap is coming through. I mean, Juan getting over towards the attacker's spawn. That could be devastating, but it allows a big biotic grenade to come through. Bunny goes down.
terrible opening pick if you're looking at it from the attacker's point of view. Juan has the barrage also ready to go, as Fearless doing what he can on the Winston, but does get taken down. Barrage, maybe not needed, but we'll at least find a DMAC plus an elimination, and that'll at least establish Fly Gaming. And Shoching actually throws up the Dragons as well. Maybe an overcommittal here, Panda.
I would certainly say so. Pili was also committing to the resurrection onto Raymond as a good resurrection. Juan didn't have the backup necessary when the barrage was pulled. Regardless of the matter, it was a good play from Sia to fly straight into the barrage to cancel it out. You know, one thing we didn't really see much from Bunny in the Overwatch League and in their time spent through previous teams was their Zarya play. Does look a little shaky thus far, but the bubble comes through from both ends, both Fearless and Bunny on the opening engagement.
Now the Primal Rage also being used for Fearless to try to get everyone off the high ground. He's able to do that successfully. Transcendence for Faraway as a couple of pushbacks come through for Fearless, but it's Shocheng able to find a headshot into JWJ, and Fearless caught a little bit too far away from his support line. Again, 3-3 comps, you need to stay in line of sight of your supports. Fearless gets a little bit carried away, and Fly Gaming are able to punish.
Well, here's the other thing as well, right? You're basically looking for a dive regardless of how many bubbles that you give over to Fearless. Even the Primal Rage was committed in that last fight.
Yeah.
The support lineup is a Lucio, Zenyatta, and a Brig. Those heals, the burst healing only comes through the armor pack from JWJ, and once that is out of the way, it's not that much sustain that Fearless can exist with, and that's why the Primal Rage had to be committed so far. Always going to go over to the Moira. Now when they go for this, what we call a soft dive over to the high ground, can drop down with the Biotic Orb and receive that much more healing. Fade also gives you a certain amount of sustain. Funny, getting picked again. This double spam composition is finding a lot of value from Fly Gaming on their defense.
Now the Dragons will be going through into that little tight corridor as Juan is just holding down one door and Shocheng the other. And Team CC is essentially just waiting for Bunny to come back to join the mix. They now kind of burst their way out of the door, but again, they don't really find themselves anywhere besides a no man's land. The self-destruct sequence is essentially forced just so Sia can get a mech back, which they're able to do, but they get spammed down to half HP. So again, Team CC have to kind of peel their way backwards. Fearless is saying, guys, I want to go forward. He's going to shoulder peek this doorway and then decide that's not the right idea. And you can see, again, they still have to come back together with Bunny, who's made a swap over to a Sombra late. Sound Barrier gets used as the Biotic Grenade was finding a lot of value for Flag. And Sia will get absolutely stun locked on the high ground. Fortunately able to back away, but Team CC have already forced out their Coalescence. And again, how do you try to battle back and win this point when you don't have any support ultimates?
You just have a very hard time. It was a very early Sound Barrier from CO, and well, Shocheng is going to go ahead and throw out the Dragons as well as the Barrage, and although 73.5% was gained, Team CC, now Bunny is able to answer back slightly onto Juan. Can't keep the resurrection from happening, and Team CC are reeling. Can't even step onto the point. JWJ getting pressured out. Very different look for Fly Gaming.
I am kind of taken aback here, to be honest with you. I meant Team CC, you know, when you think back to their history just briefly, when it comes down to it, it was that their GOATs just wasn't as good as other teams when it was a 3-3 meta. Lafon, a lot of struggles here as well, just getting things online, generally speaking, for Team CC.
Yeah, that was a curious choice from Team CC, in fact, because, you know, while GOATs is much maligned, while that 3-3 is much maligned, it is one of the most coordinated compositions we've ever seen in Overwatch.
Absolutely.
And knowing that Bunny just came to this roster, couldn't have had a ton of scrim time, and if he did, almost certainly wouldn't have had a ton of scrim time on GOATs.
Right.
It's incredibly curious to me that they choose to play the 3-3 because they don't have the experience necessary. Like, the rotations weren't clean. I'm seeing a team that is unpracticed there, right? That's a team that looks like they haven't played a 3-3 composition before together, and it just didn't work. So individually, you might have all the talent in the world, but in that composition, you need practice more than anything. And I think that's just a compositional mistake from or misstep from Team CC.
Well, mistake. We'll see if it gets punished as we'll jump back in. Thank you, Lafon. It'll be Flag Gaming again. All they have to do is find the first tick of progress, or not the first tick, but they need to capture all of A, essentially, as it was a lot of progress, like you mentioned, for Team CC, just weren't able to extend the game clock. So, Panda, kind of your thoughts on what you saw in the first half?
Well, regardless of the matter, there's still a win condition for the defending team at Team CC. They can go for, I guess, what you could call a fuller hold against Flag Gaming, but there's another thing to consider, especially with scrim time alone. All three tanks that were being played into the 3-3 composition at Team CC, they were all Korean versus the Chinese players of Team CC. Can cause a lot of disjoint and a lot of positional errors as well. And well, that's just the power of 3-3, just to accentuate on Lafon's point. So you have to play it damn near flawlessly and together as well to basically utilize your resources on top of one another to find eliminations. And well, Bunny never really found that much charge, didn't even get a Graviton Search Force, committing over to the Sombra, and they look a little shaky. I think these DPS compositions are where they're going to be able to find success, and that's just that. Hold hook combo, you can always commit to that. It's on the same cooldown.
From downtown as well. And again, I want to just point out very briefly to all the viewers at home, Shochang on the Genji. Another different look here from Shochang, who really kind of made a name for himself on his Doomfist, but of course with Doomfist's changes over the last calendar year, he's not been nearly as safe of a pick as he was back in the end of 2018. So a different look for Flag Gaming, as they again just need to find a little bit over a partial way of that third tick of progress today.
Oh, Melons goes incredibly low. Good barrier. It's going to be able to come down to help the rest of Flag Gaming work their way through. Probably going to try to deny as much high ground as well. Look at all this pressure that they're just committing onto Bunny. 26 HP and still lives.
And Bunny just doesn't have anyone to shoot at, honestly. I mean, you have to be worried about where the Genji is going to just jump on you. But beyond that, you're also getting a little bit of pressure from Yaoshi. Never mind, it's Sia who's able to take him down with another halt hook combination. But Bunny's on the low ground. That's not where you want to be with a sniper rifle. You can see him just panic searching to see where he can get to. And he finally finds an opportunity to get a headshot into Raymond. But again, Shochang right behind him, able to find a kill. The Valkyrie does get popped for Kelley. And then Vicious Hook comes through, not able to connect, but again, the barrage for JWA is good to at least find his counterpart, but very back and forth. This fight is not over yet. Flag Gaming get the res off onto Juan, who does have a barrage to potentially throw into the mix, and he will drop the hammer, able to take down Sia. Shochang does fall, though, just before they can find the Nano Blade combination. The front line is all that's really left here for Flag Gaming, but they're putting in a lot of damage, and now Fearless has to be forced in to put down the supercharger as the respawns are coming back for Flag Gaming. Is the damage good enough just from the front line alone? The answer seems to be yes so far. The respawns are going to come back staggered, and Flag Gaming are back with nearly full numbers.
And Nano Boost over to Yaoshi, over sustaining this hog is going to be able to be just fine because Shochang comes in with a blade, no defensive ultimate. Team CC swapping to speedy heroes, trying to get back here in time. It's going to come down to Sia trying to get closer to the point, cannot make it in time. And that's going to be Flag Gaming putting themselves on the board, winning Full Sky Industries.
Some heroics from the front line just to stay alive, and Pilly as well. How about that one? Again, I'm sure LaFon will want to maybe say something about that. Again, maybe he's not looking the cleanest on Mercy, but played a pivotal role at the end there, popping the Valk, allowing the supercharger to come through. And again, a little bit of a trio trifecta coming in for Flag Gaming to finish off capture point A.
Yeah, I mean, well played to Flag, taking advantage of the fact that that Team CC was the Team CC we saw last season. This is not. They looked unpracticed. They looked genuinely unpracticed on Volskaya. You know, the low ground setup of all things, not common. Never getting a full reset, never getting a reset on the high ground. So interesting look there from Team CC. But Flag, credit to them, they took advantage of it. And just high pressure situation, right? Because in a last fight situation where you have to, essentially when you have to do a fuller hold, it is a last fight situation all the time. One of the ways you can force teams to lose is just by playing high tempo all the time. And that's exactly what Flag does.
Yeah, take a look at some of these highlights as well. You get to see the very confusing positioning that was Team CC on their attack. Flag Gaming able to basically collapse on any target that they so choose because they were playing so split apart when they were on the 3-3. However, or in the 3-2-1 as well. But for their attack, even being able to come through, it's like Alan had very wonderfully mentioned as well. I mean, Pilly, yes, as hard as we are on that player as well, definitely pulled out the stops there on Mercy.
A bold res that.
Yeah, bold
very
res.
bold res.
But it definitely paid a big turn in that fight as well, allowing for the tank line to be able to come back together. And then you also saw Raymond committing the nano boost, where you see most Anas just end up getting eliminated with that and just still trying to commit to the nano blade. Giving the hog the over sustain to soak up that much more damage with their gut is pretty much the idea. And well, let's not forget that scrap gun definitely does a lot of damage.
100% the case, but we're tied up one apiece as we'll be heading over to our halftime intermission. Flag Gaming looking a lot more controlled and collected on the assault. We'll be heading over to, I believe it was King's Row, I think I saw for the hybrid. So we'll be switching back over to map number 3 when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. We will have ourselves a map 3 after the intermission, tied up one apiece, as it says right up there. That's what we like to see. Team CC 1, Flag Gaming 1. Panda and Shift on the call for you. LaFon sitting in the wings, ready to give us the hot analysis, depending on what happens here on King's Row. Coming up next, and Panda, so far we've seen a even battle. It's been a very scrappy battle, though, to be completely candid.
pretty scrappy, pretty insane as well. But we get to reminisce in the moment that we brought up on broadcast. Team CC, regardless of all the swaps that you want to bring in, it's still a team that went to map 5 against Phantom Wizard. And again,
True.
Not to continuously knock on Phantom Wizard. That's we're talking about the Shanghai Dragons Academy team here in Team CC. And well, without any roster swaps coming through, still King's Row will be your next map. It will be your hybrid map as well. And we saw how quick Team CC were to default to 3-3. The Winston variation floats, if you will, for those ones that play the composition at home. Well, what's going to be interesting is when you go into King's Row is that you can end up trying to force your way all the way through that competition through the second and third. But we're having a little bit of a campfire, a powwow, if you will, that Team CC, they need to be playing these DPS eccentric compositions. It's where they found the most value. Bring yourself back all the way to Busan on those chaotic compositions with Bunny, Tracer, and the Widowmaker as well. Could end up finding a little bit more value. The Halt Hook combos that they were exhibiting on defense as well for Full Sky Industries definitely looked a lot better. So Team CC will be rolling out on their attack. Bunny on the Ashe with JWJ on the Hanzo. So double sniper-ish, I suppose. The DMR-esque style weapon that Ashe uses. Damage boosted that up by Seo. Can get a fast Bob. The 7th man meta is here. And a quick dynamite to get Shochang out. Very well played.
Yeah, I'd say out of all the maps that we have in Overwatch, this is the most common to see Ashe coming to play, mostly because that dynamite is super valuable because of how close the corners are. Almost as if like how Junkrat was from years ago. Now it's Ashe who's able to find that little bit of hit scan damage pressure. And also, how about this defensively? You're also dealing with Yaoshi playing on the Torbjorn, but hey, he's not going to have much chance to play here because the damage combination, Bunny's able to clean things up. JWJ also getting involved in the front line for Team CC and just enjoying themselves on the point as it will open in favor of Team CC very quickly on their first attack.
Quite a quick attack as well. Well, the dynamite just finds so much pressure. Even though it did find the elimination, what it mostly does and enables is just so much ult charge and pressure. You see Bunny already up at 85% from just a handful of dynamites. And, well, you put the Bob on the corner, you put the Bob on the payload, and it's going to give you a lot of space and pressure regardless. And Ashe is definitely a good character to be bringing, especially against a bunker-esque style. You get a 2 birds, 1 stone. You get the dynamite onto the tanks of Yaoshi and Melons of this new composition with Juan in the sky on Pharah. It is a hit scan character, let's not forget. Find a lot of good damage. And there it is. There it is.
Speak it into the universe, why don't you, Panda? And now again, do you see the Bob potentially come through just to clear the alleyway? Sia is able to find one, JWJ another. That's front line and damage down. Bob puts himself into a corner, and that'll be enough for him to put a lot of extra pressure and again, just anti-air mechanisms from Bunny through the dynamite, plus also the coach done to boost him onto the high ground. JWJ able to finish off the kill onto Yaoji. And this is going to be the second stage completed very, very quickly. So there's going to be nobody really here to contest the payload whatsoever.
Speechless.
Yep.
Juan's going to have to go ahead and get for a hard reset. Gets a rocket to their own feet. It's still double sniper at the end of the day, Alan, right? If you're out of the sightlines of one, you're probably going to be lurking into a sightline of the other. And if you're not in the sightline of either of those, because of the linear acid style that was Street Space, you're going to be in the wakes of a Halt Hook combo. Team CC have yet to use anything but one ultimate, so Sia's just going to go ahead and throw out the whole hog for funsies, and it's going to blast Yaoshi right into the wall and eliminate them.
A very desperate barrage from the top rope will be pulled down to low ground by Sia. That it was going to be one who did get boosted, so he survives through it and is able to find 2 eliminations. So pretty good value here from Flag Gaming. Sia doing what he can. Maybe find a couple more eliminations or build towards another whole hog. He's only at 28% after that elimination comes through, and now Faraway will actually swap over to the Zenyatta, looking for a little bit more defensive ultimate capabilities for Team CC to potentially finish off King's Row here.
Yeah, the scary part is that you don't have any burst healing with Faraway now off the Ana, Seo on the Mercy, without the Valkyrie as well. It's just going to be chain healing until the Transcendence is online, and we'll Halt Hook combo. It's a pretty triangle-esque hitbox. Pretty easy to get that one-shot combo regardless of the damage coming through, but Team CC, they don't care.
Bunny's just not missing shots. I mean, there's really no other way of saying it. He's got another Bob ready to go, and JWJ able to clean up the dynamite damage that was done to Shochang. Faraway getting involved in the kill feed. A little bit of an aggressive Zenyatta play here, and almost pulling Pilly off the map for a small second. And just like that, big numbers advantage for Team CC. Bob could come out to make this that 7v5, and it'll be happening in staggered fashion regardless, as the 6 men was never actually there. And well, blink and you'll miss it. That was probably one of the quickest King's Row attacks that we've seen in recent memory, at least for me.
Blink and you're probably going to get headshot by Bunny being damage boost by CO, and that's whew. We talked about no fly zones with Kadalis in the last match. Well, how about that Ash, man? Like quite emphatic play coming out there, and the utility, the mobility, absolutely stellar play coming through from Bunny. We set them up as a Widowmaker, McCree, Tracer player. Well, you add Ash into that hero pool now as well, with the Dynamite being able to control the front line by consistent burning damage, and again, just it saves so much more ultimate economy than you would once consider, especially by controlling the front line in such a way that you don't have to necessarily rely on hold hook combos. I already talked about the double sniper style and how you're going to be out of the sight line as a one, you work your way into the next, and then you could get hold hook comboed, and then you get far away coming into this for Zenyatta on that last fight too. Well, that's just another 25% damage with the Discord Orb that you can add onto a tank as well, and if they're burning, that's that much more ult charge that can be coming through as well.
Yeah, big damage over time coming through, and I'm actually, I'll be honest with you, Panda, I'm looking for something to talk about besides Bunny just hitting shots. I mean, flat out, the front line for the side of Team CC just essentially was there for the ride. I mean, they played what their namesake is. They just held the front while everybody else was doing all the work for them, which is, I guess, in practice, what you kind of want as a front liner when your damage is popping off that hard. JWJ, again, we had some questions about is he going to be consistent? Is he going to be a major threat here in Chinese Contenders? And he's been having a pretty stellar day so far, not only on the Pharah, but we also saw him here on the Hanzo. He's going to be pulling that back out for a second go on the defense.
Definitely not it's definitely not the fastest attack, but it's it's definitely up there, that's for sure. I mean, start the entire round with 4 minutes and even putting up 5 more seconds, it's still a very good statement. Look at the flying horse in the sky. It's a Pegasus. Will be Melons. And well, Flag Gaming coming out with the triple DPS composition. They have a Super Shimada Bro duo with Juan flying in the sky with Phillip. It really comes down to Raymond committing to those rotations with Melons to make sure that they stay safe. But Yaoshi goes down, a sonic arrow to the head.
And now a pull as Juan is able to get taken down as well from Sia. And just like that, Team CC off to a good start on their attack, or pardon me, their defense. And Shocheng, again, was kind of, my eyes personally are on him to see what he's able to do. Again, we saw him pull out the Genji on Volskaya, but let's be honest, he didn't really get a chance to showcase anything as he fell before he could really get that blade off until it was just cleanup time. So can he be a big playmaker here? That's what you're looking for to this combination between Raymond and Shocheng on this attack for Flag.
And all of this time, just trying to build up the ultimates will be Flag Gaming. They're going to be trying to commit towards the Nano Blade to try to win this outright, but this gives Faraway more time. It's actually outpacing Shocheng, and that'll definitely help getting the Transcendence before the Blade as well. So now you're going to have to commit for Juan, going over to the Sombra to try to land a hack onto Faraway so the Transcendence cannot come through when the Nano Blade does get pulled for Flag Gaming, down to 2 minutes and 25 seconds, and not a single DPS ultimate pulled out yet as Yaoshi gave up the Hanzo to the Roadhog, and
yikes.
Well, JWJ finding headshots, just spamming headshot at random angles in the map. It's gonna garner something eventually. Ooh, almost there it is.
Big LOL, not really able to telelocate anywhere else besides into the line instead of JWJ. And again, these staggered picks are fantastic for Team CC. You saw Bunny trying to position himself in the high ground. JWJ is doing the same thing on the opposite side, and now Bunny has been allowed the time to farm up a Bob. So again, your only real win condition here for Flag Gaming is going to be potentially a Valkyrie with the combination of a nano boosted blade, and Bob will do a nice job distracting, and the fact that all the damage dealers are spread apart. How are you going to pick targets if you're Shocheng? Big obstacles set up so far. Here comes Shocheng looking to make his way through, but he sees nothing but frontliners, and now Melons is down, able to get to the high ground is Shocheng, but again, with your frontliner down, what can you really do? Bunny gets rezzed, and just like that, Team CC's at full force, and still we have yet to see the Nano Blade be popped.
How did you not try to stop that res Flag Gaming? It was right at your feet. There was 2 DPS plus Philly who did hold the Valk. JWJ again! Nice blade, by the way. Just completely gets decimated, and well, that's canon, actually. Hanzo getting the elimination onto the Genji.
I mean, what can you say about it? I mean, you spent literally 90% of your attack farming up a Nano Blade boost. The blade gets popped, the Nano boost doesn't actually end up coming through, and JWJ says, nice story, as he shuts that one down before we get out of the prologue of that attack. So now
quite literally cool story,
left. Bro. Yeah, quite literally cool story, bro. And now what do? You don't have anything besides
You have
EMP.
to throw the nano boost on the Melons after the
Yeah.
EMP comes through. That's your only play at this point, and this is going to be the first set of ultimate rotation. If Melons and Yaoshi build these ultimates, it's going to be their first set of ultimate rotation on this attack. EMP comes out.
All right. And look at that, Yaoshi's actually able to soak up the dragon, so that will likely be win condition. It was desperate times calling for desperate measures. You only had one card to play, and fortunately it looked to be a trump card to really just the dragons coming out from Yaoji, and that'll be enough for Team CC to be pushed back, and Flag Gaming likely to get capture on A, but it came at the nick of time.
Yeah, off the back end of an EMP and nano boost. If they lose that fight, it would have been a full stall or a full stalled out push for Flag Gaming on their attack. Regardless of unlocking the payload, there's absolutely no way that they can get time bank advantage here. Team CC again up at 4 minutes and 5 seconds. You only get 2 minutes 30 when you unlock the cart here on King's Row or any hybrid map. Melons goes down. Does have the Primal Rage available, and you have to wonder what the next play will be. Will Shocheng wait for Raymond to get this nano boost? Would probably be wise to do so that way you can combat it against the damage and the lockdown that Team CC is holding with their composition.
It's just taking so long, Andy. It's just taking so long to get either of these ultimates ready to go. Melons gets taken down. That was really the only play they had initially here. Here comes the blade, but it's naked, and he gets shut down once again by JWJ. Shocheng, what's going on here, my man? This is not looking so great. Now JWJ is absolutely feasting. Thanks for playing. Head back to spawn.
Flag Gaming, they're hard committing their entire composition to try to be getting into the back and disjointing Bunny, who just throws out Bob and just backs up anyway, and that just allows JWJ to do JWJ things. And well, we talked about this player even when they swapped from the moniker of Jason over to JWJ, and well, get to showcase why. Pretty darn good projectile here. Now Flag Gaming go over to a 3-2-1 with one on the Sombra. Be able to get this EMP in the middle of this fight. JWJ just splits up the team of Flag Gaming with the Dragon Strike, but it only gives space and pressure.
Boosted up is the whole hog. Sia trying to work his way forward. A nice biotic grenade in the back end of that play. Yaoji, no chance to get healed. Shocheng caught off guard. Raymond, same situation. And now Melons falling victim to the same transgressions that Team CC are able to essentially find at Liberty. And now down to 45 seconds. Again, Flag Gaming is supposed to finish the map just to force a second over or another round of gameplay here.
CC again, they're building these ultimates so fast. Bunny, expect another Bob in this next fight, and well, this next fight is the last fight on streets. And look how far forward Team CC are.
And once again, Team CC do get kind of disrupted by the EMP from Flag Gaming, but they accept it nicely. JWJ has been absolutely nuts. I mean, Bunny has played consistently, but this has been the JWJ show here on the defense specifically. Able to find the Storm Arrows, not able to connect for much damage, but again, Bob comes through and a 7v6 favors the 7. And now, again, just zoning away the payload with the Dragons. No one's probably going to be able to get here in time as Bunny's able to find another little pick on the Philly. It'll be down to Juan, who's there. That's a translocate away, and I don't know if there's going to be anyone off respawn to get here in time. It's going to come down to Raymond, who gets picked, and now big numbers for Team CC as you anticipate them likely being able to lock this up. Melons will throw out an Earth Shatter. Words have escaped me just as fast as Flag Gaming have been taken apart on this map here of Kings Row. Team CC find themselves up 2-1.
I even see it had enough time to come back on the May, and that if that isn't showcasing how much time was truly stalled out once the cart was even unlocked, even before the cart was unlocked, this is a very good look for Team CC, and that's exactly why we highlighted going into this map that they looked best when they were playing the DPS compositions. 3-3 was not a good look on Volskaya Industries, and I believe even Team CC know that at this point.
Well, LaFon, initial takes? I can only imagine what you're about to say.
Wait,
Now I'm excited.
I'm curious. What do you think I'm gonna say?
I mean, how can you win a hand of cards when you're only playing one card every single time through? Is what I thought you were gonna say. Something along those lines.
Yeah, well, you know what? That is actually very fair because if the cards are ultimates, then yes. Actually, never mind ultimates. If the cards are characters, like heroes, if you only play one of them at a time, yeah, absolutely, you're gonna lose. That's oh boy. We're gonna see a highlight pack here. Bunny, you know, you guys talked him up in the cast, and I said very earlier in the broadcast that he's smurfing in Contenders, and it's kind of true.
Oh man, that shot from JWJ.
That's so good.
He was already at 30 HP, but it's just the headshot that like
Yeah.
really just defines it. It was, oh god.
Ain't no kill like overkill, as they say.
Yeah, and speaking of overkill too, I mean,
That time bank. Whew.
yeah, and the one thing you also have to put in consideration, you start hinting at about the ultimates as well, Lafon, and you can almost chalk it up to being, well, what ultimates? Because Flag Gaming
Yeah.
barely even got any of theirs on attack, and well, when they did, it didn't find any value as well. Tank ultimates non-existent. You saw Yaoshi played about 3 to 4 different heroes to really no avail.
I
And
think I think one of the things too is that when you're using those ultimates at a certain point, if you're a worse team, one of the strategies is literally farm 6 ultimates and just dump them all at once.
Right.
And we never saw that from Flag. Because they never went in. They would either go in trickling one by one, or the ultimates they would use would by one by one. They're still playing as if they're a good team. I don't think that's the right play here. They kind of got cocky after Volskaya when CC dismantled Team CC dismantled Flag on Control, and they dismantled them here on King's Row. I'm starting to think that Assault was more of a just a fluke than anything else, because and Flag seems to have missed the memo. I think at a certain point you have to recognize you're the worst team in the matchup and just go full on for the ult dump and see where that gets you.
I mean, the blade never got boosted on that attack a single time. It was a boost
naked
here.
blade.
Yeah, naked blade, dude. I'm telling you, it's the terminology, it's the vernacular that we like to use here on broadcast. Get that
And
smile
I mean,
off
when
your
you're
face.
in that situation, you're definitely got to be afraid, because you've got no protection whatsoever.
Right.
The nano boost, a lot of people say, oh, the nano boost is for damage. It's not. It's for the damage reduction.
correct.
And that's the same reason they put it on Pharah. It's not for the damage boost. It's for the damage reduction. And we saw, you can tank a headshot if you've got the nano boost. You definitely cannot if you're by itself. So yeah, I know for Flag, I'm hoping here in map number 4 when it's upcoming that they play a much more aggressive style, because that's probably the only thing they've got going for them at this point.
Well, so far, it's been really wild looks. It's Team CC who looks good in the Control, Flag Gaming who looks good on the Assault, Team CC who looks good in the Hybrid. What will happen in Map 4? Will we see a lot of back and forth, a little bit of pinstriping there, or will this be a 3-1 for Team CC to give themselves, again, a pivotal win for both of these teams? We'll see if the series get extended to 5, or will it just be cleaned up by Team CC and Map 4 when we come back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back, Chinese Contenders. We've got ourselves an interesting one as Flag Gaming is going up against Team CC, a 2-1 in the maps, favoring that of Team CC after a very one-sided King's Row. We'll be going to our escort, which will be Dorado, I believe, to finish things off, or maybe not. I mean, again, if Flag Gaming is able to take this escort, we'll be heading to a map 5. And again, we've already kind of talked up enough of how important this matchup is, not only for each of these teams individually, but for the whole playoffs outlook as a whole for Group A.
Team CC going to map 5 in the past couple weeks. I honestly wouldn't put it past them to try to do it again, man. It seems to be their comfort place. Whether they win it out or not, it's our resident Funi, if you will. They'll always go into a map 5. Not always winning, but always going to a map 5. But regardless of the matter, what you got to see in previous maps as well was that DPS eccentric composition being fully damage boost by CO. As you get to take a look at the maps, we are headed to Dorado. Get a couple pinatas in the sky at point A as well. And the one thing that you have to always weigh in on until you get through to the Lumerico power plant here, Alan, it is a sniper's playground. And if Team CC come out there on the Ashe and the Hanzo composition, or even the Widowmaker, you gotta imagine that they'll find success in it.
I just love the music to Dorado. It
Same.
feels so feisty and festive, and other words as well, I suppose.
I just love
But we'll
point
see
A in
what's,
general. You got taco
about to say.
stands. You got the nice little fountain over here too. Pinatas.
Your fruit
Fun.
and veggie market. It's just a wonderful place. Confetti's dropping. Apparently a party has happened. We'll just see if that'll continue with this matchup here. As again, we take our little glance through the first and most of the second stage, and it will be at least a Pharah coming out initially, and an Ashe as well for the side of Team CC. And it's going to be a lot of extra damage coming through. But you mentioned the sniper's playground. It's Shochang who's picking up the Widowmaker for Flag Gaming.
Let's not look past this. Team CC on attack are rolling out with Faraway on the Symmetra. They'll be looking for a cheeky teleporter play. Faraway decided that teleporter play isn't going to be too easy with Juan on the Pharah. Can spam it out pretty quickly. Well, what's really nice to see as well is the combatant against the Hull Hook combo with the Maywall. Wait for the Hull to come through, stop the Hull in its tracks, and now the combo has been cut in half. But JWJ taking the fight directly to Shochang, kills off the Widowmaker. Let's see if they can protect the res. They can't, but it's still a cooldown that's gone for 30 seconds.
And a body shot does come through onto Pilly, and Bunny is able to follow up with one more for the elimination onto a key pick of this Mercy. So 6v5, no res, and how about this? Again, kind of a closet pick here as well for Flag Gaming with the Mei for Yao Ji, who also gets taken down. So whatever this opening strategy was attempting to be defensively for Flag Gaming doesn't really find much success, as the first stage of Dorado will be completed in pretty quick time here for Team CC.
Yeah, Bunny swapping over to the Widowmaker, and you know, Shou Chang started off on Widowmaker and already evened up the ultimate charge. So Shou Chang's just like taking the right page out of the book. There's no way that Shou Chang is going to win the rect 1v1 when they are locking scoped eyes at each other between Bunny and themselves. So swaps over to Genji, but it's going to be a very blank dive. There's not going to be much follow-up into Bunny when Shou Chang is looking for these dives. It has to be methodical and timely perfectly. But the more important part is now it really comes down to Juan and Raymond to really try to deal with JWJ in the sky. Okay, buddy.
Bunny's just having too much fun right now. I mean, you can almost feel the smile on his face when he hits those two headshots, and he's, again, just putting so much pressure on these airborne targets that he's got in front of him. And again, just look where Flag Gaming, they have nowhere to go. It's just damage everywhere you find yourself. This bell tower is not going to be much of a reprieve for you, as now all of a sudden Juan is by himself. The infrasight gets called out, and Shou Chang, who got picked almost immediately out of spawn, is only at 24% to a blade. So again, if you're Raymond, you'd be thinking about, do you just need to use this boost and hope that you can recycle it before Shou Chang gets the blade off?
Yeah, I think at this point, you just have to give it over to Juan to sustain themselves. Shou Chang actually finds a kill on the JWJ after the Blizzard comes through, so Team CC are going to get pushed back here slightly. Not that the fight is unwinnable by any means, because Sia says, see ya later, with the whole hog into Melons' face, and he is blasted back in the spawn.
And Faraway has the Transcendence, which he pops near the almost end of his life. Shou Chang, his only real elimination so far has been the Supercharger, and the payload is ending up hitting the checkpoint for our second stage. So now 5 minutes plus in the bank, and some staggered kills will allow this payload to find a lot of free room as we enter into that power plant.
Oh, man. Well, Yaoshi did use the Blizzard, and 70% towards the Nex as well. And after Raymond had to use the Nano Boost, Yaoshi's going to give up that ultimate charge, go over to the D.Va, a little bit more damage mitigation, because you see where JWJ is playing with the Barrage, just waiting to see which walkway that Team C, or that Flag Gaming rather, are going to be walking through. And this Barrage could be pivotal, especially only finding one or two. This is a reprise of what we just saw on King's Row.
A little bit of high ground advantage here for JWD as Juan floats on out and says, this is not a battle that I think I'm going to be able to win, so you got to rechange your target prioritization. But Raymond, again, where are you going to go? The answer is back to spawn. And so now all of a sudden, with Bunny popping off as well, it's going to be JWJ with the free barrage.
What an angle.
Plus the dynamite, just so many explosive ordnance being utilized for Team CC. Rez will come right back through for JWJ, and this payload might just be able to finish off the map here with plenty of time in the bank. It just comes down to how well you zone the rest of this push out from Team CC's perspective.
Well, it's already not going to be as fast as the push that we saw on King's Road, just because that squabble of a fight before the second capture. But here's the real problem, is that Shou Chang has to commit the dash. He already used the Fleck before using the Swift Strike, and that is a very easy kill.
And the blade never comes out for Shou Chang. He holds it. That's essentially 2 points in a row, and really actually we could make it 3-4 points in a row, because he's not been able to get off a successful blade yet. Lafon, your initial thoughts of what's going wrong here for Flag?
Is it fair to say that it's not so much what's going wrong for Flag as what's going right for Team CC?
I think that's fair.
I think, and you know, some people may say, oh, that's half a dozen of one, 6 of the other, but I actually genuinely think this is Team CC playing on a level that they've never really shown before, right? You know, we've, you know, Panda can speak to this, but we saw Team CC very early on when we were covering Chinese Contenders as being a team that had very high highs, but also very low lows. And then last season, very much the opposite, where they had no highs whatsoever. I think here we're finally seeing Team CC proving that they are capable of being that Contenders, you know, academy team that performs at a very high level. You know, they shut out the cohesion that they've got is so insane. And I think that's really just you can chalk that up to just fantastic talent finally getting room to shine. JWJ pops to mind immediately. You know, struggled previously and now has a DPS duo that can really play up to his caliber, and it's giving him so much more room to work with.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to just hit really quickly before we swap the sides around. Again, is it just, do you think the simple weakness of Team CC is to stay away from playing the 3-3 Complifon? Because that's where they've looked the worst.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that I will die on this hill. Goats is a very, very strong composition, but it requires excellent teamwork. you cannot just throw a team out and say, oh, just play goats, because it doesn't work like that. And so for Team CC, lean on the talent of your DPS players, because that'll give you so much more success for victory.
A fair take. We'll see what happens as we swap the sides. Flag Gaming have quite the mountain to climb here, Panda, and they're going to get it done very quickly, you would think, if they want to try to have some kind of hope for success here.
Absolutely. So they're going to go over to a composition that they seem to be very comfortable with, and that's going to be the damage boost of Pharah and Ashe as well, versus Flag Gaming that come out on their double spam composition as well, backed up by Raymond on the Widowmaker. Solo support by Pilly. We were talking about how shaky of a Mercy player that we have seen so far, and committing to be damage boosting a Pharah as well can leave your front line out in the open. I mean, yeah, Yaoshi on the Roadhog can sustain themselves slightly with the take a breather ability, but is it really going to be enough?
We'll come to find that answer out here pretty quickly. JWJ tries to get involved to try to take down one of those frontline members, but it's actually Raymond who's able to find Fearless first, so numbers advantage here for Flag Gaming as we take this fight into the courtyard. Shocheng back to the Hanzo now, another different look for him. And he is just making sure he's able to find the proper targets. We'll throw the Sonic Arrow on up, and he's going to try to focus down and help Juan with his Pharmacy combo in the back line. Nice direct rocket there, looking for a second to finish things off, and a couple of shots actually go into Sio as well. Riemann able to clean things up, and, well, Fearless will come on back, but all of this has been, again, substantial progress to Flag Gaming as far as the payload moving. Bunny has had enough of that, and will throw Bomb into the mix, and that'll be enough for Team CC to finally get themselves a little defensive hold. Oh, gosh.
Body block.
Oh,
The
gosh.
stagger. Oh, no,
Let me
Billy.
out. I'll get a res off if you let me.
You know, and that resurrection, as bold as it was to commit to the full elimination, it's 30-second cooldown, man. Like, I don't know about that one, Chief. But anyway, 2 minutes have already been exhausted, and well, the triple DPS composition had find slight value because it's a lot of different angles to be looking at. You force Fearless to come back on the Wrecking Ball to find a sort of dive with Sia. So Juan swaps over to the Sombra, a direct counter to the Wrecking Ball, try to catch them in the back line. But the real story is, how do you even shut down Bunny? And, well, that's going to be a good way of doing it right there. Shocheng takes the Mercy out of the sky.
Shocheng, Dragons into the back line. Gonna find a couple ticks of damage, but not much beyond it. A little 1v1 between him and Bunny, which Bunny is actually winning that game of tag. Raymond, though, meanwhile, has found far away, plus one more into the pilot diva of Sia, and just like that, turned that sniper into an automatic weapon. And you can find yourself completion here in our first stage with a pretty decent amount of time still. About minute 30 is essentially what they had left, so now it boosts up to just under 4 minutes for the second part of the map.
Absolutely, and they're going to be able to do so just only using the Dragon Strike in the previous fight. Still have the Supercharger. They'll walk underneath the Valkyrie as well, and you know, Raymond doesn't exactly have to always win out these duels now that Bunny has swapped over to the Widowmaker themselves, but just has to be able to pressure them away. Take the pressure from Bunny to be looking at Raymond and not die as well, so that way the others of Shocheng and Pilly can just stay alive. It's an early Valkyrie. JWJ, he's got the barrage.
This minefield is so good. It actually splits up the front line from the back line of Flag Gaming, but okay, Flag Gaming say we're equal to the task because they stay alive and find a couple of clutch pickoffs, most notably Sio falls, and Fearless is now caught without any real support in the bag. So Flag Gaming, what looked to be a very terrible situation for them, Pilly's able to get a resurrection off, and they're able to come back together as a full squad and win the battle.
Pilly, rejoice. You got a resurrection off and you live. Very nice. Using both utility ultimates though, Valkyrie is gone. Supercharger was used, but here's the thing about this composition that Flag Gaming are running with right now. Even though using 1 or 2 ultimates on one fight will still garner you to have a series of others on the other hand, JWJ comes back on the Genji, loses his head because of it, gets resurrected, and there's the EMP and Dragon Strike. God, that's a lot of damage.
And Raymond has got free line of sight to sit back here and just snipe freely. The whole hog pushing players away, boosted up as JWJ, but it's actually Bunny who steals this show with 2 kills in the backline. Both DPS players that are down for Flag Gaming, so all of a sudden, Team CC, they feel like you could actually sit here and fight this for a little bit longer. It just comes down to, can these pesky DPS players stay alive?
Goodness.
The pulse grenade actually lands on the shield of Melons, who stands a little bit too close to the sun. It gets burned because of it, and Team CC will hold on to the defense just before it can touch the checkpoint.
And I love this call from Bunny. Bunny recognizes that there's no Brigitte on the field for Flag Gaming just until now, so comes back as Tracer. You might as well. Bunny's very comfortable on this hero. We have seen all the way from Busan, and if there's no stun lock in the backline of Flag Gaming to lock you down, you might as well go back there and just wreck house. That pulse bomb was gained pretty damn quickly out of the spawn. Sticking on this Tracer, however, can find an off angle, and well, if you play that that left-hand side of the defenders over above the Mega Pack correctly, you can blink over to deal with the high ground that Raymond could be holding, but Flag Gaming now with their Pharmacy combo, Yaoshi over to the Brig to try to lock down any of this dive from Fearless or Bunny can be the difference maker, but JWJ does have a blade coming up.
Self-destruct sequence though. Oh, it's so massive. It finds Kelley just floating, not able to get behind cover. So just like that, Team CC deny any extra ultimate charge going in favor of Flag Gaming. And as we get into last fight territory, the only thing actually available off the respawn is going to be Raymond with his Infrasight and maybe the Supercharger, but they don't have an EMP. They don't have a barrage. There's nothing available for Flag Gaming, and Team CC are very, very close to a boosted blade.
The only way that they stop this blade coming through here, Alan, is with a shield bash from Yaoshi, and well, you can easily bait out a shield bash at Fearless because they have the Primal Rage. You can just go in there and just try to bait it out as well. You see the attempt right there, but doesn't get it. The flag comes in, nano boost onto JWJ. Does the blade come through? Probably not because of the Supercharger.
Yeah, to say waiting for the Supercharger to come away. Bunny's able to take care of that. Now all of a sudden JWJ waiting for an opportunity to come on in. There it is. The blade comes through, but it's Fearless who steals the show away from him. JWJ not able to even slap through any targets until the Mercy becomes available for him, but it's going to be shown.
What an armor pack.
Kill, but again, it's going to be down to one. The EMP for Flag Gaming has to turn the tides, which currently are going against them as they're being drugged under the undertow of it. And there's the EMP. It does find a handful, but it's Seo on the Battle Mercy who finds two, looking for a third. Will keep the weapon out, not quite able to find the kill, but the damage has been met with plenty of other members from Team CC. Raymond doing what they can to try to stay alive and keep this overtime in effect. The res will come through, so Sia's back into the mix just for the extra body. Fearless doing what they can to try to find the damage, but a very good stall for Flag. I say that until JWJ re-enters the fight. He cleans up the front line, and that'll likely be just about it. Sia with the Bunny Blaster finding a double kill as well. And all the hopes of Flag Gaming sending this to a Game 5 will come to an end as overtime fades away.
Yeah, JWJ coming back, and every single member of Flag Gaming were so low. It's just Swift Strike resets on lock. And, well, no map 5 for you this week, Team CC. Looking pretty damn good as well. And, again, you got to think it's I'm not saying that Bunny was probably the most turning point of this team, but LaFon even mentioned as well just the changes that we get to see from Team CC from last season all the way into this one.
Absolutely.
A very different team than what we were used to seeing, and they looked very, very good here today.
And LaFon, as we bring you in, I kind of want to get some speculation here from you. I mean, again, this was mostly a lot of 2-2-2 comp that was played for Team CC. Again, it's not enforced by the rule set yet, but it will be for playoffs. So with that in mind, is Team CC a potential major contender to kind of come back to form as a major playoff team here in Chinese Contenders?
Yes, without a doubt, yes. That they are now, I think, one of the top front runners in terms of playoff candidacy. You know, with a weirdly, I don't think Fearless is their best main tank choice, but I think for sure that this team is now a playoff contender. Whereas before Bunny joined, I was somewhat lukewarm on them. After today's performance from Bunny, I think it's very much a team up there. Because not only, you know, sometimes when you play against weaker teams, which Flag definitely is a weaker team compared to Team CC in this regard, I think the big difference here is that the rotations that Team CC were making were strong. Even against a better team, they will still hold up. And I think that's going to be the difference maker here. As we had in, and I think for Flag here, you know, they were outplayed on every level except for the one time where Team CC tried to force a composition they were clearly not practiced on. This was all Team CC, like entirely Team CC's show.
Yeah,
it just didn't have the cohesion to be running the 3-3, and it just no business. And you can tell from Volskaya on, they were just like, you know, let's not try that again, y'all.
Well, I mean, they got a combined what 30-ish% on Busan.
73% was gained on Volskaya Industries for their attack. Yeah.
Right. So no. But I'm saying like Busan.
And the control.
Flag got got almost nothing. Flag got almost nothing on
was...
control. They were full held after giving up a 4-minute 5-second time bank, which we almost never see on King's Row. And then here they gave up almost a 4-minute time make again before being held on second again. So I think outside of Volskaya Industries, where Team CC again ran a composition that made no sense for their roster, was just far and away better in every single sense of the word. So I can definitely see Team CC contending for the title. Speaking of contention in playoffs, I actually got word from Kenobi, one of our other casters, about who's confirmed for playoffs as of right now, which is a week from tomorrow, or next week's our last week. Here we get to look at our standings. In Group A, LGE, Huya, and Team CC are both confirmed